So you're bopping again.
I know. Get you going.
Greetings, everyone. Good evening, and welcome to Andromeda 7, your celestial gateway for community support, help, friendship, knowledge, limitless love, and all the value we can provide to one another. It's good to see you, everybody, and thanks for coming and joining with us. I just want to say thank you, everyone, for your continued support for the show. Our membership has grown tremendously in a very short period of time. So we appreciate all you listeners who can't join in and chat. Just kick it back and relax it, and the comments and emails that you send in mean a lot to us because it helps us keep on track with messaging. And we really do appreciate that.
We're grateful for each
very,
one of you.
Very, very grateful. And before Lori does her normal shout out to everyone for this particular workshop that Lori came up with, I want to congratulate Jules and wish her a very, very happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Jules!
Welcome to the Crab Force.
Happy birthday.
She's on the cusp of the Crab Force.
Oh.
So
Master
remember,
number 22. Master number.
Master
right.
22.
That's right. Master number 22.
Why am I not surprised?
We have a master in the house.
We got
Not
more
surprised.
than one.
Yep.
We got more than one. All right. Well, anyway, I just wanted to very quickly turn this over. I'm going to turn this over to Lori. But hello, everybody in the chat room. I can't type right now, but I can read the chat, so that's why you don't see me typing a lot. But peace and love and happiness to all of you. And I thank you, Lori, for stepping up and bringing us this opportunity tonight to explore an area that's, I think, is very, very much welcome.
So important.
Yeah. So thank you very much. With that, I'll just turn it over to Lori.
Awesome. First thing I'd like to do, though, is acknowledge everyone in chat. So let's do that. David Castle's in the house. Of course, Rufus is with them. Kisses and hugs to Rufus. Mandy Moo, hope you're feeling better, sis. Know you're going through some changes there in your country. So I'm glad you're with us and you're taking the time out to think of something else. Elderberry, good to see ya. Always a pleasure. Let's see who else we have. Kills, my sister. Good to see you, kitty cat. Love you. Doug, great to see you. Been missing you, Doug. I'm glad you're here. Truth Seeker, always, always love to see you in here. Thank you so much, Jayashir. Good to see you. Let's see. Who else do we have? I think
Michelle. McFree.
McFree. Okay. Hi, Michelle. I'm not down quite that far. Oh, okay. Good to see you, Michelle. Love all those little memes you've been sending me. It's so cool. So thanks for letting me know you're thinking about me. I really appreciate that. I think we pretty much got everybody. So awesome.
I think she has a list of like 300 plus people.
I don't know how she keeps track of everyone.
I think she goes through a list. Click, click.
Oh, maybe she does. Maybe she does.
Kind of like David Castle. You know, when he's summoning everybody in by greeting.
I think David Castle knows each and every person. I think he's got it logged in his brain. He's an amazing guy.
Oh, hi, Walking Water.
Oh, Walking Water. Yeah, good to see you.
Okay.
All right. Well, one of the things we were talking about was when we were thinking about show topics was something that could kind of help everybody. And I know everybody's on a different path. People are on different levels. But I think the basic thing that we all need to understand and how much writing, and Jules, you know this, how much writing and how important it is to our development and kind of going within, you know? And so what I did is I did a little video to kind of help people who are not using this technique, to kind of give them some inspiration and some ideas about how they can tap into that source of themselves. I also have a journal that I keep. So if you're keeping a journal through this process, it's kind of mandatory, right, Jules? You really got to have you got to have a journal.
I need a bit of chocolate because I was given some chocolate.
Oh, good. Well, it's your birthday. You can eat whatever you want.
I'm sitting here eating. I'm sitting here nibbling too because I have to have that protein because I didn't have time for dinner.
Actually, chocolate almonds in cinnamon.
Ooh, that sounds really good. Ooh, addictingly good.
Yeah.
So, Delabor, obviously you keep a journal, right?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't exactly call it a journal, but I do write down all my dreams that I have, all the significant dreams. That is, if it's longer than say one page in text, I will write it down. Because
That's
normally, like
awesome.
if you have dreams that are only say a couple of seconds or like just an impression, unless it's very significant or very important, it's usually not worth writing down unless it's something that you remember of your own accord. Like in
Hmm.
my case, like. Back in 2004, I had a dream that stuck with me ever since. And in the dream, I was standing on top of Mount Everest and checking out the cool landscape all around me and admiring the whole view and everything. And all of a sudden behind me I hear some commotion and I see this pure white eagle descend to the ground. And I'm observing this eagle and he slowly transforms into a naked white man.
Hmm.
And this man says to me, he addresses me by name. He says, Dalibor, don't be afraid of me. Don't be afraid of me. I'm an angel.
Hmm.
And I'm like, so what's the deal? Like, why are you here? He's like, well, actually, I'm the first to come here to Earth, and there's going to be 7 other angels, each one of which will descend on a different peak of your planet. And the reason is that your race, your kind, has run into some really hard times, and we're here to help you out. I'm like,
Hmm.
so what do you want me to do? And he said, well, basically nothing. Just continue being yourself. Just do what you're doing. It's okay. And I was like, okay, fine. And that's where the dream ended. So that would be classified as like a short dream, but
Yeah.
it left such an indelible mark on me. And if you analyze the symbolism, that's like white eagle, that's like Native American.
Hmm.
That's white symbolizes purity of intention, purity of thought. The
Hmm.
naked man means that I'm actually open, that I'm
Yes.
not concealing anything, that
Right.
this is like my true authentic
Self.
self or message, I should say.
Hmm.
So although since the dream was so short, it didn't rise to the level of something you could actually write something about, like write a
Hmm.
story about. But aside from a dream journal, I do keep I have a Minds page, and if you
Hmm.
just look me up on minds.com, you can find some of my articles. And I don't necessarily label them if they're fiction or nonfiction, but to the astute reader, they should be able to tell if it's fiction or nonfiction. It should be kind of obvious because usually the nonfiction is pretty funny because
Hmm.
I write the kind of things that I myself would like to read.
Right.
I don't
Right.
I don't like things like horror. I don't like tragedies. I don't like any of that. Uh,
Right.
I because life is hard enough, and
Hmm.
escapism is definitely an aspect of literature that you shouldn't necessarily put down too much. Escapism is kind of an important part of literature, and that's also the basis of things like television
Hmm.
and music and stuff like that, because it changes your consciousness, changes your perspective, and
Hmm.
you come out of it with a changed frame of reference, and you come out, for all intents and purposes, you come out of it as a changed human being.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Yep.
and that's what literature in general should do. It should provide you with a different perspective that normally the reader wouldn't, of his or her own accord, come to, and in so doing, change the world.
Hmm.
For want of a better expression.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So dreams are your subconscious speaking to you, and everything in your dream. This is my personal understanding of it, and I've been doing the dream interpretation for a very long time, and it's been a really great tool. It's one of the first tools I started using when I started questioning, why are we here? What's this all about? And I got this book. It's Betty Bethard's Dream Book. I actually read this on my channel, but they had me take it down for copyright violation. So I wasn't able to keep it up there. But this is one of the dream books that I use. And this gal has been around for a long time. She has many, many other books. I highly recommend getting her book. It's got a dictionary in there for all of the dreams. So everyone's had those kind of dreams, like flying dreams and losing your teeth dreams, that kind of stuff. And so it's scary at first when you don't understand, but as you get into this book, you realize everything you dream about are aspects of yourself. Every person in your dream is an aspect or some quality that you see in them. You recognize that. But yeah, we could definitely get into that a little bit as well. So what I wanted to do, you guys, hi, Steve Clark. Hi, Trina Phoenix. Good to have you with us. Brandy Robinson, you're a fine girl. Good to see you. Maddie Summerlin, good to see you. I don't think I've ever seen you in chat. So happy to have you with us.
Welcome.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do is go ahead and run that video, and it's just a short understanding of how creative writing or writing, keeping journals, that spirit writing, that automatic writing, this is something to get you triggered so that you can start working on this and exercising this muscle, which will really be beneficial to you in the long run. And also very good about, it allows you to kind of go within yourself and explore self. And that's what I really got out of it. So
welcome, Grandpa Brian, Mary Wins and Witch Moon 73.
Awesome.
Glad to see you, Witch Moon. Suzanne Kennedy.
Awesome.
Okay, here we go.
Good to have everybody with us. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and run this, and we're going to watch this, and then we'll discuss it after it's done. Okay?
Good.
Here we go, folks.
Cool.
Writing can be a true spiritual discipline. Writing can help us to concentrate, to get in touch with the deeper stirrings of our hearts, to clarify our minds, to process confusing emotions, to reflect on our experiences, to give artistic expression to what we are living, and to store significant events in our memories. Writing can also be good for others who might read what we write. Quite often, a difficult, painful, or frustrating day can be redeemed by writing about it. By writing, we can claim what we have lived, thus integrate it more fully into our journeys. Then writing can become life-saving for us, and sometimes for others too. Although the majority of creative writing comes through organic flow, it helps to have a little framework just to get things started with. The more one writes, the less structure is required. Now let's get started. Choose a prompt or create one of your own from the list that follows. Prompts to use when considering creative source writing. Do I love myself? How can I love myself more? What are 3 things that amaze me and why? What is the most interesting dream I ever had? What do I think it meant? How did I feel about it? Now find a relaxing place to be alone with your thoughts. It's important to breathe and center yourself. Now ask yourself, how are you feeling right now? Write it down. Describe your location using senses of smell, touch, sound. Why did you choose this location? Does it hold any meaning or memories for you? Now consider answers to your prompt and just start writing them down, not for other people to evaluate, just your own personal truth. Now read all that you have written down. What have you learned? Is there anything you might share to encourage others? An experience, a poem, a teaching, or even just an opinion? Write it all out, raw and free-flowing from your heart. It doesn't have to be fancy or clever. Writing helps us move from living on the surface to going to the depths of who we are and why we do what we do. Spiritual writer Henry Nouwen said, Writing can untangle thoughts, express our emotions, and give artistic expression to life. Then writing can become life-saving for us and sometimes for others too. Creative writing is essential to your self-awakening process. It brings you to yourself. It opens up a dialogue with self. We hope you are ready and willing to take on this challenge.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Thank you. Thank you.
I love her voice.
I just hope it gives people some direction and some ideas about how to get that dialogue going with yourself.
Yeah.
And also the creative writing, you can do the spirit writing, which I've got a couple of little things that I wrote back in September 23rd, 2020. From myself to myself, which was interesting. And basically what I did is I just sat down and I cleared my mind. I took some deep breaths. I didn't think about anything. I just allowed myself to just write whatever word came into my mind. And by the time I was done, I had half a page written, and I had no idea what I had written until I read it back to myself. And it was amazing. So these are some of the things that people can do to start to connect to self by just allowing it to kind of flow and come through. So I wanted to read you guys this real quick. This was September 23rd, 2020. And this is a message from my higher self. Today you have taken all you have learned to become who you are in this now moment. To describe you is to tell you that you are more than you think you are. We see the vast growth of your soul, the incredible challenges you've faced given all this experience and knowledge. You still choose doubt over knowing. To know is to believe, to trust is to love. You've gained wisdom, love, and incredible desire to love yourself and the world. Be creative, examine your feelings, trust in your divine power, love all who know you, engage with others. Live only in each moment. Now is always your compass. Your message is delivered. We bid you peace and love, one light. That blew my mind when
Boom, shakalaka.
that came out of me. And I thought, this is way more than my conscious mind would produce. And this is what is the catalyst that really kind of sent me over the edge to, I want more. I want to know more. And it just created this desire to just continue this journey. Mm-hmm. And Brian Barnett was part of that. And, you know, Jules, every once in a while, we talk about that show where it was his birthday and we were on there. And you know, so much has changed from that moment. And never once did I think we would be here doing this, but I know he's elated by the whole process and that we're doing it and continuing what he started. So in my mind, I would just like people to do that for themselves and get more involved with themselves and really love and admire themselves for what they're doing.
Yeah.
And that self-doubt, man, you just got to kick that stuff to the curb and don't even allow it to enter your brain.
I know for me, journaling, I started journaling early on. It was, I think it was Leslie Holker from our group with Rocky and Scotty suggested early on when I was having these breakthroughs and trying to get ahead of things, keep a journal and start writing. She was helping me with breathing, and then she, you know, told me to start keeping a journal. And it was that whole experience of journaling. Now I have a background in English literature and all that, so the creative writing wasn't, but it was the idea of just writing down how you really felt. I hadn't done that since I was a kid. And now when you go back and look, and you can write it down and it's just like a cleansing. It's just opening up. If you don't have anybody else to talk to and you don't want to, and you feel like, I don't want to share this, it's intimate. Yeah. You write it out and then you start talking to source.
Mm-hmm. You
So the
start
next-
tapping into that energy.
You start
That's what's
tapping
so
into source
exciting.
in your angels or whoever it is you believe in,
Mm-hmm.
and it starts this communication with your higher self, and it also allows others to come in to help
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
interpret what you're writing and how you feel about it. And then you go
Right.
back. You go back 3-6 months, and you're like, I wrote that.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
actually
In
thinking that
disbelief.
way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look how far
And you're
I've
going,
come.
damn, that was good.
No, but I'm thinking, boy, I've come a long way.
Yeah.
So-
One of the biggest things that I did when I started to do this process, I was discovering the power of it all. And I'd had a really bad day at work one day. And I thought, maybe I should just come home and write about it. And I did. I had 3 or 4 pages just filled with stupid stuff. And after I read it, I thought to myself, all right, now you got it out. You let it go. Now you can let it go. You've exposed it. You understand the feelings and the emotions that you're going through. And it's time to, just let that go. Yeah. And I did. And it was extremely helpful. And I mean, I just, I was like into it. And this happened and that happened. And this person did this. And it was ridiculous. Well, and just,
one thing that I find interesting, people probably wouldn't think of this, but sometimes if you share how you truly feel about something with another person, they judge.
Yeah.
So a journal isn't going to judge you back. You're going to judge yourself later.
It's truth staring you right back in the face. Yes.
Boom. It's your truth.
Yeah.
So it's going to convict you and or release you one way or the other.
Right.
To help you grow. And whereas with sharing with another person, if they're not ready to hear it or they're evaluating you and judging you,
yeah, that's a really good point.
So
I would say,
I can do and not be criticized about how I truly feel.
Right.
Yeah. I would say, in any kind of writing attempt, don't try to rise above your own self because you are experiencing this reality as a quantum point of consciousness using the superpowers of your own human bio-mind.
Wow, excellent point.
And your perspective is therefore unique. And so no matter how mundane you think your existence is or how boring it is, somebody else is going to find that really interesting. If you're a Czech guy like me living in Germany, my perspective could be very interesting for somebody living in, say, Australia. Even though I might not think it's exciting, I might think it's more exciting to live in a place like, say, Tuvalu or Patagonia or Mongolia or something like that. But no, there's people out there that would find my perspective unique.
Yeah.
So don't second guess yourself and don't try to rise above yourself at the same time.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing too, it's very difficult to not be honest with yourself when you're doing this writing, when you do this work.
Yeah.
Because you go, that doesn't fly. That's not happening here. Nope. And the biggest thing is you learn to be honest with yourself. And when you can do that with yourself, you can do that with others,
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about you, Jules? You do a lot of writing. You do a lot of creative writing.
Do I?
Well, you've written a book about it. Let me grab
the book.
Yeah. There you go.
It's like the American Express cards. You can't ever leave home without it.
Yeah, it's great. Great book. Really good book.
Well, I was handing them out last night as I was dressed up as the Harlequin down our street. I was handing out my stickers, my poetry, and the other poem I've printed at the back, which is everything's the opposite of how it appears to be. And opposites spring opposites. So now what do you see? Perfect at this moment. Perfect at this moment. Anyway, I'll go. One of the dreams I had, seeing Delabar talked about his dream. This is many, many years ago. I was traveling, as you are, around, and people were picking me up and taking me places, but everywhere they drove, it was a dead end. And then I'd get in another car and it was going up a mountain. I said, this isn't the way to go, and it end up again at a dead end. And I thought, I'm not following anybody else because everyone is leading me to a dead end.
So the end,
Yeah,
that
but
literal meaning,
every dead end is itself a destination.
right? It's a
That's a
completion.
final destination.
It's a completion. It's a let go of the old, prepare for new beginnings. And that's exactly what it meant for you, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yep. And
This
then
isn't
this, yeah.
Go ahead.
And this week I've had 2 long dreams that I usually mine are just short, little, quick, give me the information in a flash.
Okay.
But I had one this week, which was very, very paramount to even this actual exercise. I was in my shop with my daughter, who was younger at the time, and another lady who is got a crystal shop in town. Actually, Roz, who you met the other day in the park, was in the dream. Right?
Okay.
So I'm in my old takeaway shop, and my diary's sitting on the counter, and I'm going, what is my diary doing on the counter? And so I open it up, and I don't draw. Of course, mine's all just doodles or actual my writing. Anyway, as I opened the book, there was an image, say, of a mountain and and water and whatever. And as I stood back, it became alive. It actually kept filling in and colouring in and becoming real. And Crystal standing beside me going, I can see that, Mum. I can see that. So that was showing you that by writing it in your journal, you've actually created it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a thing about dreams is your interpretation is really important, because you can never allow anyone else's interpretation of your dream. I can suggest to you what it means or what I think it means, but you're the ultimate in what it means to you. So,
the next day I got another one, and I won't go into the depths of that one, but I woke up and I woke up and go, okay, what was that all about? And I figured it out every single moment of that. I'm going, and that is exactly what that first dream I just told you is. You're on your own virtually, and you write your own story.
That's it. Yep. That's exactly it. Wow.
I would just make an exception to what you just said, Lori.
Okay.
Only in that when you're first starting out with it, it's kind of hard if you don't have any experience at interpretation, if you don't have access to books. If you have a master in the group, for lack of a better term, if you have a more senior or more seasoned person in the group that you resonate with, who's offering you that ability to tap in and help them at first understand what they might be, and then give them the references like you did for me. Sending me the book. And I think it's really helpful when those of us who've been through it for a while can help other people get started. And then they learn over time more about themselves, so then they understand what those symbols mean to them. Yeah,
I get what you're saying, and that's a great point. But ultimately you are the one that is going to interpret it.
Yep.
That's right. That is just a guide. That doesn't mean that it's right for everybody either.
No.
Right. But I understand. That's an excellent, valid point, Teresa. So there's a lot of people just getting started.
I did pick one of the 3 out of the 8 or 10 that you chose for tonight for folks to take home with them to try as an exercise.
Oh, great.
I did bring a dream story with me.
All right.
As an example. And then Dalibor might have, or Jules, of course, her poetry.
Oh, yeah.
And then Dalibor has a website that he can tell us about where he's actually got some documents that you all can take a look at, some stories, and some of them sound pretty cool and humorous at the same time. But these are creative writings from Dalibor, and they're out on his website. What's the website called, Dalibor?
Minds.com.
Okay.
Is it Minds?
MINDS?
DS, yeah. It's a social media. It's the only social media that I'm on besides LinkedIn. And it's like the free speech alternative to Facebook, Twitter, and all those guys. So I got into that only about 3 years ago. But see, the problem with the problem with 3 years ago is the fact that I also quit drinking 3 years ago. And because I quit drinking, that kind of, believe it or not, that kind of put a damper on any kind of outbursts of creativity, or I should say uncontrolled outbursts of creativity that I used to have back in my drinking days. I mean, that's not an argument to start drinking by any means, but so you have to take into account the fact that some of the best writers on earth were actually raging alcoholics.
It's got a point.
That's true.
Yeah, they were.
Wow.
Like Ernest Hemingway.
Right.
Ernest
Hemingway. Yeah.
Hemingway,
Perfect example. Yeah.
Perfect.
Hunter S. Thompson, people like that.
Yeah.
So,
that's not the spirit that stepped into them. That's not them, is it? That's something else. It's alcohol. It's spirit.
Well, actually, when I look back at some of the things I wrote when I was under the influence, but it's not that different from what I would have written had I not been under the influence. It's just that, the subject matter came to me much more naturally and much more easily because I didn't have all those inhibitions that I normally have in my waking consciousness. Because what alcohol does, it actually destroys the so-called liminal boundary between the subconscious and the conscious.
Numbing. Very numbing.
Yeah. It dissolves that boundary. So
Sure.
sometimes you have a difficult time distinguishing, did that really happen or was that just a dream? But getting back to dreams, it's also up to the experiencer to figure out if this is a symbolic dream that you can interpret using Freudian symbolism or other symbolism, or if it's an actual paranormal insight of some kind into a higher reality, where you're getting insight from a dimension that you normally can't access in your conscious life, and getting information about the future or about deeper meanings of things that happened to you in the past. So,
like a memory.
Yes, and I've had many of those. I've also written about those. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, when I took the creative writing, I was a English minor. We did a lot of creative writing classes. I was not that great, but I think it helps, and John from Max Vision Remote Viewing has been very helpful when he leads you through your breathing and imagery. Remote viewing everything is about imagery. Creative writing is very much the same way. So you don't have to be a wordsmith. You don't have to be a Scotty Roberts or Laird Scranton or any of these really good, seasoned, imaginative, creative writers. You can evolve into that over time. But when you're first doing it, what helps is the senses: touch, smell, what you see, what you hear, what you feel on your skin, the warmth of the sun. You're taking a walk, being as descriptive as you possibly can with your dreams or your visions or your meditations. And putting that down as you're writing out the story. Like Jules says, everything is a story. You are writing the story of that now, of that moment. It could have been a 5-minute daydream, or it could have been an all-night dream, and you wake up and you just have the memories. As much detail as you can capture about it helps unlock the senses. It helps spark those energy centers in your brain and down your spine to release that spiritual energy into the writing. And you might find that you actually have a message to share with people, or a message for someone else, or maybe it's a communication to you.
It's actually a mind-expanding thing, and I'd say just like with playing an instrument, which I also have experience with, practice makes perfect. Which means the more often you do it, the better you'll be at it. And this holds true for almost anything else. I was an English teacher but albeit only for 1 year, at a combined high school and college in Czech Republic. But before that, during my high school and college years in the United States, I was earning a sizable second income from writing term papers and reports and dissertations and theses for my classmates. And this actually spurred some of my interests into other topics that I normally would not have gotten into. Later on, I also, since I speak several languages, I was a language translator, And that too, believe it or not, actually helps you better formulate thoughts, because you're taking concepts from one language, and you can't use something like Google Translate to translate word for word from a language like Czech into English, because it wouldn't make a whole lot of sense. You
Yeah.
have to rephrase that, reformat that into something that's understandable to an English speaking reader. So that's also an exercise in creative writing, despite the fact that it's not regarded as creative
Yeah.
writing.
I have a question for you, Delabor. What language do you think in?
It's very simple. It's very simple. Since about half my friends, all my family are Czech, are over on that side of the border, and the other half of my friends are all Americans or English or Australian. It depends on the context. If I'm with English-speaking people, I'll think in terms of English. But if I'm with Czech people, I think in Czech.
The reason I asked you that is because when I started learning how to speak Spanish, because I had a lot of Hispanic employees over the years, and I wanted to be able to communicate with them. And as I was starting to learn, I found myself thinking in Spanish, which was interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wondered if that occurred with you as well. So.
Oh, definitely. I'm always like, in my mind, I'm always like translating, especially like, for example, catchy song lyrics. How would that sound in Czech? How would that sound in German? How would that sound in Spanish? How would that sound in a different language?
Yeah.
And then just playing with that. Because sometimes you get a whole different level of meaning that may not have been intended by the original. Even with differences between languages like Croatian and Czech, or between Polish and Czech, you get some really interesting relationships there.
Wow.
Well, she's got this video that she played at the beginning. So those of you who missed it, go back and play it. Lori's got the guidelines, if you will, to help you. Some prompts to help you with the exercises. Lori, what was I do have a sample dream story, but what was I guess when we get to the end of this, we could tell them about what you want to do for the second part for the next workshop.
Okay.
So you asked me to pick one. I picked one.
Yeah.
I picked one because of the imagery. There's a lot of imagery in it. And so this was written back in November of 2020.
Always date your stuff, everyone, as well, so that you know when you wrote this. It's really important to date it. Okay. And
the season was fall, so it was November.
Okay.
November.
All right.
And this is one that was posted. Okay. Now it's writing the dream and recalling as many details. I'm not interpreting the dream here.
Okay. So you're just conveying the dream that you dreamt, and you were just trying to keep it alive in your mind to get it down on paper. That's great. Okay, good.
Yep.
All right.
Okay. Let's see. I just knew I had to be with my tribe. There was this deep longing to go home. An elder standing at the water's edge extended his long, thin, fleshed, and fragile arm towards the mountains, pointing to the location of my tribe. Go home, he said, with finger shaking. Be with your kind. They anxiously await your return. Eager to enjoy fellowship, I jumped into this long, still-watered, shining lake of glass, reflecting the sky and surrounding trees. Engulfed by many shapes and colors, a kaleidoscope of nature, I happily and easily swam the full length of this beautiful lake, all the while feeling the cool waters flowing over my skin. At times, I floated on my back to rest, observing the clouds above. I glided easily through these calm waters with the precision of a youth, the one I used to know so long ago, perhaps. I had no other thoughts than my tribe. I barely recalled them, in fact. I just knew I was one of them. Climbing out of the water now, dripping little droplets here and there on the embankment, I proceeded to walk into the woodlands surrounding the base of these majestic mountains. Critters surrounded me on my almost effortless walk. I should be very tired, I thought out loud. Yet I traversed the uneven ground cover at ease and without fear. I sensed the animals admired me as much as I admired them. Indeed, They walked with me stride after stride. Eventually, I arrived at a familiar passage between the mountains. Ah, this is my path. This is my way. This is my knowing, I thought to myself. In perfect unison, I heard, "Yes," said hawk. "Yes," said deer. "Yes," said owl. "Yes," said wolf. I grinned, and I thanked them with love and honor. The remainder of this part of your journey you must proceed on your own, but for a little while. Be cautious of slippery rocks. Keep your balance. Breathe. Stay focused. Remain courageous," said Eagle. "Your tribe will be waiting at the bottom of the canyon. You will take the plunge into eternity and feel refreshed and filled with joy."
Wow.
Not quite understanding all of what he was saying to me, I sent him my love and respect and proceeded to make my descent. Eagle was so very right, by the way. This way is filled with hazards. The further I travel this path, the more tempted I become to give in to doubts and fears. I managed to push the negative thoughts aside and remained focused, however. The path ended abruptly at the edge of a cliff just inches away from the tip of my foot. Luckily, I maintained my balance, peering down into this gorgeous valley and feeling completely elated by the view. I drew in a deep breath of utter relief. Then I noticed a huge pool of water at the base of this cliff. I spotted a deer the size of a quarter. Immediately, I felt a surge of doubt and panic. Numerous thoughts began crowding my mind, and I felt my heart pounding away in my chest. Oh no, no freaking way, this can't be the end of my journey. That beautiful valley, I have to reach it. My tribe is there, somewhere down there. I can feel them. How am I supposed to get there? Closing my eyes and spreading my arms out to either side, I called upon Eagle's strength. "Keep your balance, breathe, stay focused, and remain courageous," he reminded me. I breathed and searched my heart for courage. "Take the plunge into eternity and feel refreshed and filled with joy. Believe and trust in yourself. All will be as it is designed," said Eagle. A gentle calm then filled my soul as I plunged into the depths below. Wind ripping at my face, I hugged myself in this rapid descent. Upon impact, I felt a joy of pain traverse my body from my feet up my spine to my head. I sank fast through endless depths of cool liquid and felt air bubbles surrounding my body. Opening my eyes underwater and looking up, I could see the faraway sky and the edge of the cliff I had once been standing on. Far, far away. I knew I must head upwards, but instead I kept sinking further down into what seemed an endless abyss. I don't know why, but I was surprised that only a brief doubt crossed my mind as I suddenly spread my arms out to the side and bent my knees. The sinking sensation came to a gradual stop, and my body drifted upwards. I knew I was rising up. I knew I didn't have enough breath, though, to complete the rising. So I just simply let go of all doubt and fear, pushed the thought aside. The only thing I could think of was home. My tribe is waiting. I call the gentleness of hands grabbing my body and loving arms pulling me to shore. I attempted to focus on faces through blinding rays of warm sun. All their faces appeared fragmented to me. But a female voice called out to me, "You sure took a long time to get here. Stop messing around. Supper is waiting, and everyone is filled with joy now that you're finally come home." Then there was this loud video conference call sound piercing my skull. I focused at my cell phone and opened my eyes. It said Andromeda 7, Al Ciriello. I wanted to go back to sleep to meet my tribe, but sleep would just not come. So,
oh my. When was that? What was the date again?
What was
November 17th, 2020.
Wow.
November 17th is Independence Day in my country.
Ah,
Wow.
wow.
That's amazing. So see, that's kind of what I want people to try to do is tap into that resource of themselves. And what I'd like to do, maybe the next couple Wednesdays, is get people to submit those so we can read them on the air and just kind of share that. I'm not asking people to come on. It's all good. But, share your story. So if you have something you want to submit, please do that. Andromeda7@gmail.com. Andromeda7portal@gmail.com. And that is in the description for you. So just go to the description for the email address. Send us whatever you have. We'll go through it. We'll read it, and we'll share it with the tribe.
Right.
For sure.
It's in the sharing is the opening up of your spirit to bring you that light. And what you get out of any reading is what you get out of it. It's what the owner of the writing got out of it. But it's up to everyone to have a different perception and interpretation.
Right. And the fact that you just shared that with us, you shared your imagery, you shared what your experience was. And that's where the power lies in all of us, is that sharing of that information and knowledge. Yep. That's pretty amazing stuff. That was an amazing dream.
That's an amazing dream, definitely. And for some reason, it evokes imagery of a famous Russian song by Vladimir Vysotsky called Priveredlivi Koni, which means fastidious horses. It's a well-known song. It was featured in the movie White Knights. And it's about him guiding his team of horses, and he secretly wants them to go over the edge of this cliff, but it's like they don't want to go. They want to go on. But that imagery, that whole theme, kind of, it's like he doesn't want to get to his destination, but he finally gets there.
Yeah, and it's a leap of faith. It's literally a leap of faith, but it's a leap of faith in yourself.
Yeah.
You know how much energy you put into other people and how much you lift and support others. It's learning how to do that for yourself that really will change your life in ways you never thought possible. Seriously.
And I'll tell you one thing, when you get into the interpretation side of this, which is the other part of Lori's exercise, was now think about everything that you have written and what does it mean to you? I have 3 different interpretations of what this whole sequence meant to me based on my frame of reference at the time I'm evaluating it. Okay. So back then it had a meaning to me. That meaning changed over the next couple of months after that. And now that you've given me the book that helps me to understand symbology, because I understood the animal symbology in my dream through my medicine guide from David Null.
Okay.
The Animal Medicine Guide is Native American Animal Medicine Guide.
Great
book.
And
then I have your Betty Barthen's book, which
Betty
Bethard's to understand symbolism.
Yeah.
And some of it will resonate with me. I'll read what she has described, and a part of it will resonate, and the other part won't.
Okay.
So you have to use your own discernment and intuition, and your own interpretation of your dream. These are just tools to help you figure it out. So now I have a completely different interpretation. Than I did when I started out. So you can learn from yourself over time by either Jules does. She's always going back to a poem she wrote 2 or 3 years ago, and all of a sudden it takes on significance for her in the now.
Yeah, it's always in the now, even though there's so much going on, guys. It's fascinating. It's truly a fascinating time to be alive.
It is,
even though it truly is. And I know that's why I always say thank you all for your gifts and talents, and enjoy always. But it's sharing them. It is sharing them. That's what'll open you up.
Yeah,
to be
truly.
more of who you are.
Yeah,
to be more of who you are.
And Steve Clark says, I never wrote down my dreams, but I wrote down my thoughts and feelings when I was in the military. And he's absolutely right. I remember that's what I did as a teenager. How am I feeling today? What are my thoughts about this? That opens you up just as much. You don't have to get all creative and write a story. I chose to write a story.
No, it can be about anything. It can be a dream. It can be a poem. Yeah. It can be how you're feeling at the moment. I mean, absolutely anything. The point is just taking a pen and a piece of paper and writing stuff down, whatever comes to you. Give it a
It could
shot.
be like you've seen a certain bird, or there might have been an animal that you haven't seen for a long time, or
Mhm.
you know, those are symbols as well. Or you know, the same as number plates on a car. Whatever
Yeah.
Right.
you resonate with, just go and then write that down, and then see if it happens again, and then you'll start to see all the signs and the symbols. They'll start to really mean something.
It gets
Yeah.
you to pay attention to your thoughts.
Mhm.
That's
I
the
agree.
key thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Teresa, now what you were gonna do a bit of an interpretation on that? What is your now interpretation of that dream? What does it mean to you now?
Well, at the time I was writing that or having that dream,
Mm-hmm.
we were trying to pull Andromeda together. We were
Mhm.
trying to get the Soul Tribe card decks completed.
Mm-hmm.
Al and I were cranking them out.
Mhm.
So there was that going on. There was a lot of my own internal personal issues
Mm-hmm.
going on. So there was a certain degree of not stress, but I would call it a sense of finally feeling like I was a member of something, that I had purpose.
Uh-huh.
I was starting to feel that I wasn't alone anymore,
Mm-hmm.
and that you all were a family to me, a broader family than what I had started out with here.
Mm-hmm.
I was pretty much isolated because of what was going on in society with you know what. And I lost contact with the people that I cared the most about, the children that I took care of, and my good friend.
Mm-hmm.
So there was all these whirlwind of activity, and I just couldn't sleep well. And I finally had this deep, deep dream. And I believe the way I interpret this is that Source, the universe, Source, Creator, whatever you want to call it,
Mm-hmm.
energy was letting me know and giving me messages that the journey might be rough, but as long as you stay balanced and don't go off course, you won't stumble or fall.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you just have to let go
Yeah.
and take the plunge
Trust.
and just let go of everything and let yourself fly, soar like an eagle, even if you hit those rough waters and you're unsure and you feel like you're slipping away into an abyss.
Mm-hmm.
Know that you are there. Know that you will rise up and you will survive.
Mm-hmm.
You will get past this. And your tribe, you're not alone anymore,
Right.
because your tribe is pulling with you.
Mm-hmm.
That collective consciousness pulling with you. And so for me, it wasn't that they rescued me at all. I rescued myself, but they were pulling me out, telling me, knock it off, stop fooling around.
Yeah.
You're here for a feast.
Yeah.
You're here for the joy. You're with us, you know? And so it finally gave me that feeling of unification. But at the time that I wrote this, I was still too new to it all, still unsure of my interactions with you all. Is this going to work? You know, people are accepting me into this group. This group has known each other for so long, and I'm a fairly newcomer. I was feeling kind of on the outside edge of things, and so I had a different interpretation at the time of what this meant. Go ahead, Dalborg.
Well, see, I would say that if you were to use an analogy to literature, it's like we started out as Canterbury Tales, but we became something almost like Canterbury Tales 2, Canterbury Tales 3, where those stories, all those individual stories start like interpolating and interacting together. Where it's not just like one, the prioress tells her story, the knight tells his story. But the stories start meshing, sort of.
Yeah. All the different thought processes. So to me, now looking back on it, I was coming to the realization that I had a belonging, and that it was okay to let go. But since then, I've had a bunch of up and downs and forgot about letting go. So going back to this every now and then reminds me of what that message is. Stay on message,
Yeah, stay on point. Yeah. And, really this awakening thing is like returning to yourself. It's about learning how to return to self and to go within. And that's really difficult for a lot of people to kind of grasp that.
Jules had her finger up. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Jules. I'm sorry.
No, what you're saying is what you're actually saying. But I just want to share. Last night when I did dress up as the Harlequin, I had a little bit of a nervous flutter going on in my belly because I really didn't know. You know, you never know what's going to be out there when you go into the main street of your town, right? And I was a little bit anxious. I was still a little bit anxious, even though I'm in costume. Still, some people, of course, they go, "Oh, that's Julianne."
Yeah.
But the thing is,
it's going out of your comfort zone, right?
Yeah. And it was so elation and so much fun and joy and watching everybody else smiling and that gave me confirmation. And again, because of what is going on, our community is a very good community, and it gave me really the confidence of knowing what we're about to embark in as the community, because I was able to connect with people in that persona and share stuff, and which has always been the way why the jester is able to share a message and not get his head cut off, because you play the role of the jester to get the message out, the me sage, right? So when you're actually in that character, able to play that role. I remember even dressing up as the Queen of Hearts once and just watching the response from the children. It's really the children they look at to, you know. It's truly that in all those aspects of the jewel, it's given me confidence to be able to communicate the way I do now.
Right.
Yep.
Creative confidence.
And being the storyteller. And that's when I go into deeper gnosis to share with people as Julianne without a costume on. I go, I'm still a storyteller. I'm planting a seed. If I don't tell you this information, I'm not doing my job. Right?
Right.
So I seen that in a lot of, I said, I'm just telling you a story. I'm just giving you a little bit of an aspect of the story. You take with it what you get. But if I wasn't to tell you this information that I've got, I've then not given you the awareness to actually work on that yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. Steve Clark has an interesting comment. Has anyone ever felt like you cannot feel your body, but yet feel everything around you, either asleep or awake? Anybody felt that?
No.
Definitely. Usually when I've done some kind of deep meditation and I've actually feel like I've left physical behind, and I have all the senses, touch, taste, smell, hearing, but it's like an out-of-body experience. I think even Trina mentioned it down there. It sounds like she had a out-of-body but still conscious. And that is very, very possible, Steve, because I was wide awake when it happened.
Oh, I had a strange experience the other night.
You did?
Yeah.
What was it?
Well, I'd been laying awake for a couple of hours. Why don't you just get up and write? So, of course, I went and got up and wrote. Got a whole heap of clarity out of what I wrote. I came back and laid down, and Ian was asleep, but he was, you know, when you say, well, are you awake? And they'll go, yeah, but they're still snoring. So anyway, I said, oh, babe, put your magic hands on me, because he does have magic hands because he's cleared a lot of stuff on a couple of occasions, but he doesn't know that. But I do tell him, wow, that was amazing, you know.
Wow.
Anyway, I just felt a whole heap of stuff lifted. Now, it was my hands on him, and it's really hard to explain. You know, the sensations
like a clearing, you mean? You mean like a clearing, like just a letting go and just releasing?
This vape, this, you know, and it's just like
Wow.
a vapor,
Wow.
a heaviness had lifted, and I couldn't even really remember what I was thinking about those 2 hours laying there, whatever it was. I'm going, what was it that I was laying there, whatever? But
Yeah.
it just lifted this whole, and the writing had explained that, but when I went and laid down, the energy that came through mine and Ian's body together but separate, I don't know how to explain.
Wow.
It was just an uplifting, and it just lifted the weight off.
Nice.
Wow.
That's amazing.
And I knew that also, that's planetary stuff as well. When I get stuff, I don't always own it as if it's always mine, but it is. We're one and many, as my shirt says, monopoly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Monopoly, they're trying to beat us, but we're one and we're many.
Yes. Yes.
So,
I'm just wondering if you felt that I don't know. Did you feel like with between you and Ian, this balance of masculine and feminine either merging, or you said they were separate feeling, but were they merging?
actually, it was old patriarch. We have the matriarch and the patriarch.
The patriarch.
Right? So what I got in my message, the word was patriarch, and when I laid down, that's what had just left the building.
Wow.
Interesting.
It's interesting because I've come up with a new word called the hatriarchy, which would be one of my words for government. It's a hatriarchy, not a matriarchy, not a patriarchy. It's a hatriarchy because they hate us. Just thought I'd add that in.
That's interesting. I like that.
That is interesting,
That's
though. Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah. I also call them. I also call them they, which would be the hierarchy enslaving you, or them, the hierarchy enslaving me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
No, that's all gone.
Let that shit go.
Yeah.
Let it go.
Release it. Yeah.
No doubt about it.
Yeah.
So if anyone's interested in sending us some stories or poems, whatever you feel like writing, messages from yourself, your higher self, your automatic writing, anything, please do. And we'll be happy to read that and talk about it.
Oh, that is a next step, though, right? The automatic.
Yes. Automatic writing is amazing. That was the little message that I had read you earlier, was a message from what I call my divine self. Not necessarily my higher, but my divine, the spark of divinity.
Yeah.
That aspect of you that's higher than your physical.
That automatic writing that we do sometimes is a whole nother level of connection. This will get you started, these exercises that we were trying to walk you through tonight, to get you started on a practice to keep a journal, write down your dreams, write down your visions, or even your thoughts, like Steve Clark says. How you feel today about stuff.
Yeah.
What's your day like? How's it feeling to you? And put down as much description as you can. I was tired. I was just waking up. My first taste of coffee was delicious. The phone rang, the dog barked. I started getting grumpy. I just needed to ground myself, so I stormed out of the house. Write it all down. As much description as you can, Also, and you'll get a message from that later, probably.
But one way that I got started doing this was I started doodling a lot. I just had this intense desire to grab my notepad and start doodling, things like this, geometric shapes, stuff like that. Genomes, that kind of stuff. Just whatever you feel prompted to write or draw, just get that fluidity going with the pen in your hand and just tapping into self and just see what happens.
When you're on the phone to somebody, do that. Have the pen in your hand and you'll be amazed what you draw.
What you pick up, That's interesting. I'll have to try that.
Sometimes you can even use Google for that. Let's say you're driving down the road and you see like a really interesting what's it called, license plate number, and so you remember that license plate number, and then you do a search for it on Google, and you come across say some document about some totally offbeat, obscure topic, and that gets you thinking, oh wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
You
So
go off on tangents.
Yeah, Truth Seeker says, does anybody get messages, visitations from departed family members in their dreams?
Oh yeah.
Yes. 100% yes. Shortly after my dad passed away, he came to me, and he was really handsome. My dad was very good looking, and I would say he was around 30, 33, just that prime, looking sharp. And he gave me this big, enormous hug, and I could smell his t-shirt. I could smell the t-shirt he was wearing, and it was such a warm, loving embrace. It was just like, it just made me feel so good. So when I woke up that next morning, I felt like I seriously was hugging my dad, and he was letting me know that he was okay, and that everything's going to be all right, and that he's in a good place, and he's not sick, and that he was just conveying how much he loved me. But the fact that I could smell his t-shirt, it was a recognition. When I smelled it, I could recognize it was him. It was a him 100%. Yeah. But yes, that's what happened to me. Anybody else?
I had a dream about my grandfather shortly after he died, and it was the only dream I ever had that repeated itself exactly the same way twice, once after the other. Where I had this dream. It was a dream I had twice, literally. It was the most bizarre thing. And in it, he came to visit me in my apartment, and I let him in, and I said to him, so what's going on? I thought you were dead. And he's like, no, what you guys buried over there in the cemetery, that's just a body.
Empty shell.
That's just an empty shell. I'm not in there. I'm not in that coffin.
That's
you know
not
that.
me. That's not me.
So he sat down, and I'm like, so what are you up to now? And he's like, oh man, you wouldn't believe the kind of business deals I'm closing these days. It's like
still working away like crazy.
Still working away like crazy. And he was dressed exactly the way he was. He always had his like black man purse, always his shorts, no matter what the weather. And always like the thick glasses, really thick. He was a man of business, a man of finance.
Sounds like a cool guy.
Yeah.
Knows what he wants and goes after it. Yeah.
And so I'm like, so where do you live now? And he's like, I live in the Centrum. And I'm like, where? I'm like, in the Centrum. And then he's like, I gotta go. And he backs up and leaves. And so in European English, the Centrum means like the center of town. But it could also mean like in the center of you. I'm living inside your soul, or inside your DNA, or
because you are part of him. You live on. Your DNA, all of that lives on physically.
I have his DNA because if you look at a photograph of him when he got married, it's the resemblance is eerie.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Lori,
go ahead, Teresa.
I just am fascinated with Suzanne.
Yes.
She does automatic lyric writing. Automatic lyric writing. It's a combo of everything, feelings, dreams. So she's writing lyrics, but it's coming to her automatically. That is fantastic. Suzanne, I would say that if you ever feel like sharing anything, we'll be happy to share it. Or you can even join us next time if you want to.
Absolutely. That would be
You're more than welcome to come on and share
Please share. It's so important.
There's music lyrics out there. If you go to geniuslyrics.com, I believe it's called, there are some like surprisingly deep messages in some of these lyrics of popular songs that most people just overlook, or overhear, I should say, and don't really pay attention to, where they just enjoy the music, but they ignore the words. But there's a lot of them out there, unbelievable amounts of information.
Yeah.
So what's next, Lori? We have folks to do this and then join us. Oh, I hear you. I'm sorry, Jules. Right. Go ahead.
No problem.
My battery's going flat. because I had to end up using my tablet, not Crystal's, so I'm going to
Okay.
have to get off.
Thanks,
Okay,
Jules.
So thank you,
Happy
everybody.
Happy birthday. Happy
Have a
birthday.
great
Love you very
birthday.
much. Enjoy yourself.
Happy birthday, Jules.
Thanks so much, everybody. Bye.
Love you. Bye-bye. She's such a treasure.
Yeah.
So no, I was just going to say, what's the next, so folks can send their stuff in during the week. We'll pick a few, read a few up here, or if they want to join us, they let us know. We send them a link.
Absolutely.
Let them come on the show and share and read
Talk
some of
about
their.
share it. Yep.
You're more than welcome to come up here and share it, and and so that'll be next Wednesday. We'll do that.
Yeah, next Wednesday. So that's a week from today, and that should give people plenty of time to make a decision, and some time to write and see how it works for them. Yeah. Sounds great.
And if you're in an awkward position where you can't get into the show because you're traveling or you're still at work or it's too, do you feel too rushed? Like Trina's always like trying to get home.
Yeah.
Just email it to us at andromeda7portal@gmail.com.
Yep.
And we'll be happy to share what you've.
Yeah, that sounds really good.
Yeah. I mean, I've also had a weird dream that was identical to the dream I had with my girlfriend at the time. She had the exact same dream, except that the people in it were slightly different than the cast of characters that was in my dream.
That's fascinating.
Except that the key details were all the same, and it happened in the same place, same flow of events, and that's bizarre.
That's
because we
really
had we had the same day, the same dream.
Wow.
Which goes to show you that you're accessing a deeper reality. So it's not
you're
just
tapped
Freudian.
into the same energy. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Wow.
So
amazing.
Friday, guess who's gonna be here?
Yeah, we have a great show for Friday.
Grandpa Brian is coming on Friday. Hey, Brian Richards. He's going to come on, and it's his showcase. And he's going to tell us a little bit about his journey, his story, and how he's evolved into this tremendous healer that he is. We know he is. And he's been a big help to many, many, many of us. And we finally get an opportunity to bring him up here so that he can share what his experiences are and how he learns and grows in his path. So we're very appreciative of the fact that he's willing to do that. So we look forward to that on Friday night.
Yeah, excited.
And Al, he's making progress on additional cards.
Yes, he's got some really great cards
for deck 2. Yeah, he's been working on that in between. You know
what the deck reminds me of? It reminds me of my high school yearbook in a sense. It's just like a high school yearbook in a sense.
That's interesting. That's an interesting idea.
Yeah.
Wow.
Very interesting. Yeah.
Huh. I love it.
So depending on Trina's situation, where she is, if she can make it in Friday with Brian, that'd be great because they both have the healing. And Jules, of course. So to the extent that we can get them together. But I don't want to put pressures on you, Trina Bean. She has a tough, tough situation.
She needs some time with her family and
daylight savings time,
animals, and we get it. We understand. We miss you like crazy.
We love you, but we miss you, Trina.
Yeah. Okay. So true. All right.
Yeah. She says, "I think I can." Well, we'll keep our
we hope so.
Intent out there for you. Yeah. I don't know if I have anything else to announce at this point, except, Doug Stack. Check out Doug Stack's shop. I don't know if Doug is still, he's probably moved on to the next chat room. But Doug Stack owns a tire company now. So he has a service that he provides, and I'm going to try to find out what his website is and share it. Maybe he's almost ready to come on and do a showcase.
Sure.
About his story about how he got the business, how he acquired it, what he's trying to do with it, and because he's been through some ups and downs with it, and he's being very successful so far, and so we want to share that out. And he also,
what the best thing about owning a business is the number one thing.
What?
You work for yourself. You don't work for anyone
It's
else.
true.
I can attest to
I
that.
liked it. I did it for 10 years. So yeah.
I've been self-employed for most
even
of
your
my life.
worst day, it doesn't compare because you're only answering to yourself, and you have full
That's right.
creative control over your little kingdom you created.
Yeah, and
That's
best
right.
of all, you can pick any business you want to be in, and you can also pick how much you devote to it. And if your priority is like mine, which is freedom, you're not going to overdo it in terms of the effort that you actually devote to making the amount of money that you need to live on.
Yeah.
You're just going to do the bare minimum, and that's good too. In other words, I've been, like I say, I've been self-employed for the vast majority of my working life, and it's the reason I went into it was, I would put it this way: the reason I went into it is so that I would never be able to tell myself that I didn't try it.
Yeah.
It's like,
Interesting.
because if I didn't take that plunge the first time, then I would forever be like saying to myself, "Oh man, if I only had given that a chance, if I only had gone that route."
You didn't want any regrets about it. Yeah,
exactly.
Good.
I'll tell you, Doug is a fairly new Soul Tribe member in terms of part of the other half of this. He's always been around with Scotty and Rocky, but you got to give this man an incredible amount of credit, because he had
Who's this?
Doug Stack.
Oh, Doug Stack. Okay.
Yeah, he had his stomach tied. He's been working through a program where he actually physically walks. He has a chart that he covers all this ground. He walks, and he, even when he's down and not feeling like it, he pushes himself to put in those extra miles to get those pounds off. He's got this determination and this discipline of mind, and he's
focus. Yeah,
and he's got focus. And even if he's going to be a little off, he keeps chipping away. He's losing a lot of weight from doing this. He's feeling better about himself, and in the process of it all, he acquires a business called Tony's Tire Repair.
Awesome.
It's open Mondays through Fridays from 8 to 4. He's at 415 North Chattanooga Street, Ville Platte, Louisiana. New and used tires,
Louisiana.
New and used tires, patches, and plugs. So if you're anywhere near Louisiana, go visit Doug Stack. He'll take care of you.
Awesome.
If not, check out his website. I know he's working on one. I'm not sure if he's got it up and running yet or not, but he is on Facebook. So follow Doug.
Awesome.
All right.
Okay. Well, on that note, hey, everybody in chat, thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate it. Go out and do some writing, see what you come up with. And much love to everyone, and have a wonderful evening. And thank you, Dalibor. Thank you, Teresa. And thank you, Jules.
Thanks, sister.
Much love. Peace.